I'm not a man. I know, crazy. Now that you know. No more questions or confusion. Oh, also, my pronouns are in my phone. Now that you know, there's no excuse. I go by she because I am a woman. He.
Sup, fuckwhacks? I'm gonna cut straight to the chase. I'm not a man. A lot of people assume that I'm a man because of my voice. I'm not, and I'm not trans either. I was born female, I just happen to have a very deep, androgynous sounding voice. So let's unpack all this. First things first, I've had to deal with this ever since I started puberty. I've gotten a lot of comments from relatives saying I sound like my brothers, and at some points I was told I sound like my dad, which is overdoing it. Telling a teenage girl that she sounds like her dad is really awful. I don't think I sound like my dad. I don't even think I sound like my dad now. But that's what I had to deal with, and to this day I get called sir over the phone all the time. I don't bother to correct people because I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, because it's just one of those things where I think a lot of people who accidentally misgender somebody, they tend to get really nervous, or they tend to be like, oh no, I'm so sorry. I don't want anyone to start groveling because I feel like that's more embarrassing. I'd rather just say myself that awkwardness and just kind of go with it. And usually the calls are like brief anyway, so it's like, what's the point? There was one instance though that it did really bother me because it was kind of necessary that I was not a sir, because it was a medical context. Around the time of COVID, I got COVID and someone called, I don't remember who, it was like some like health organization or whatever, and they were like asking me questions about like, oh, what are your symptoms, how do you feel, blah 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 blah. And this lady was talking and she kept calling me sir. I'm like, no, I'm not sir, I'm a ma'am. She's like, oh, I'm sorry sir, and then kept like, oh, I'm so sorry sir, and they kept messing up, calling me sir, and it was just like, this is kind of getting disrespectful. Like, it was feeling a little purposeful, because it's like, all right, I get that my voice is a little off-putting at first, but it's like, I get it, you might mess up a little bit, but you're doing too much. Like, this is getting to like a level where I feel like she was kind of doing it on purpose, because she gave up, actually. She kept calling me sir so many times that she gave up and didn't even apologize after that. And I was like, all right, that's messed up. Like, you could at least put effort in. It's not that hard. But that instance made me realize that, yeah, if I do that, people are probably going to mess up so much that they might just end up calling me sir as like a default because they just keep screwing up. So it's like, yeah, I'm not going to go through that ever again, because that was really embarrassing and annoying. Another instance that stuck with me. Now, this instance hurt more than it was embarrassing. Well, it was embarrassing, but it hurt. And it was when I was in Girl Scouts. I've been in Girl Scouts like ever since I was a kid. So I remember we were doing this event for like the younger scouts. We were doing like a princess night thing or whatever, and we were doing these fun activities, and we dressed up in these gowns. They were like prom dresses or whatever. During one of the activities, my friend pulls me aside and she points to this one kid who's like, hey, so-and-so wanted to ask if you were a boy. And I just kind of stood there. I was like, oh, okay. And that really hurt, because like up to that point, you know, like being a teenage girl really sucks, and puberty was like throwing me through a loop. Like, I was not having a fun time, and wearing a dress and like being, you know, princess like made me feel nice. It made me feel great for once. It was a nice feeling. So to kind of have that moment, it kind of was taken away from me, kind of. It was like, oh, okay, then I guess I'm not a princess or whatever. I guess I'm not this. I guess I'm a boy now. And it was also embarrassing because like my friend clearly was cringing and the kid was just looking curious at me, and I didn't like that feeling as well. This is why I don't really like kids, because they always treat me like I'm an anomaly because they hear my voice and they're like, why do you sound like that? Are you a man? Are you a woman? And it's like, I know the easy answer is to say no, I'm a woman, but like, I just don't like that feeling of like being treated like I'm an alien. So that's why I just don't bother with kids. I don't like dealing with them. So yeah, because they're always the ones that ask about like my gender all the time, and I don't like that. It's not a fun feeling to be questioned constantly. So the other instance with my voice was more scary because if this happened today, it would probably be like on the news, which I know sounds really dramatic, but considering how the climate is, it's not surprising. So I was in the locker room, and this was in high school, talking with my friends while we were changing, until this girl started screaming. And when I mean screaming, I mean she screamed like she was getting murdered. So she walks out to the aisle I was in, and she was like, "Oh, I thought a man was in here," and then walked back to her aisle. And I was just like, what? If this happened today, I would have been in big trouble. I would have probably gotten like investigated or something, because like, geez. And mind you, I was minding my own business. I wasn't doing anything. I was changing. Like I said, imagine if that happened today. It could have gone badly. But like, that's scary. It scared me, and it stuck with me ever since. It was also embarrassing because I was just minding my own business. Like, changing the locker room is already embarrassing in itself. Again, being a teenager sucks. Being in a locker room and then being mistaken for being a man is not fun either. Like, what? It just, that is always going to stick with me. That was a very fundamental moment that happens that really solidified that, yeah, my voice sounds different. It really sounds masculine to a lot of people. And I also realized that my voice has altered how I perceive my gender identity, and it really affected like what I identified as. Like, I remember when I turned 20, I kind of was like in the non-binary zone for a while, because I felt like, because people assumed that I was a guy so often, that I was like, I might as well just go for like the middle ground, I guess, is what I kind of saw it as. Because it's like, well, I don't want to be perceived as a man, and I can't be perceived as a woman because people keep thinking I'm a guy, so I might as well be in between, so that way like I can get away with being androgynous, yippee. And that didn't really feel right either, because I was like, I still want to be recognized for being female though, because I don't want to be entirely androgynous, like for completely. Like, I don't mind being somewhat, but like I always want to lean more towards feminine. So that's kind of when I realized maybe I'm just in that category of like demi-girl, I guess, or non-binary woman. I really don't like those labels, to be honest, but like that's the best way to describe how I am. I feel like the best unironically word that I've just I made for myself was woman. I think it's funny and it's to the point and I like it. So that's kind of what I feel like I am, because that's it, you know? It sucks, to be honest, to kind of feel like I wasn't allowed to be feminine because of my voice, and also my appearance as well. I don't know what it was, but there were 2 instances last year where I got mistaken for being a dude, and I was just like, I wasn't even trying, by the way. Like, I never worried about my appearance too often. Well, at least in adulthood, because I was like, oh, I look feminine in real life. So people saw me, they were like, oh, well, she's a chick, never mind. But like, the fact that I got mistaken twice kind of made me worry that maybe I might be perceived as a dude in person now. But it does kind of scare me as well, because like, if I'm in a feminine space, I don't want to be mistaken as like a guy, because with all the transphobia going on, especially towards cis women who are just more masculine, or they just happen to have a feature about them that's like not super feminine, like God forbid a woman has a square jaw or something, or is just taller than average. Guess that means trans, but whatever. It just feels like an invasion to some people, and I don't like that feeling. I don't like feeling like I'm an alien, or I feel like I'm invading a space. I don't like that feeling at all, which is why I feel so out of place in a lot of feminine spaces, and why, like, for me, the safest way to like explore femininity is through art, which is why a lot of my characters tend to be very girly when I draw like female characters, or why I like drawing like Lolita fashion, or why I like hyper feminine aesthetics, because that's my way of safely consuming femininity without having to like worry about invading anything. It sucks though, because I do wish like I could dress more cutely or do other things, but I always worry that people are going to assume I'm like a trans woman or something, or going to think I'm like trying too hard, or they're going to clock me as something, and I don't want to deal with that, because I always have the fear over my head of being the victim of like misaimed transphobia or something like that. I don't want to have to constantly prove myself. That's why I feel like it's safer just kind of be like in the more ambiguous or like safer category of just dressing casually or whatever, because at least then people might just assume like a non-binary or something, which I kind of am. It sucks, but it is what it is. Could I just say F it and just kind of do whatever? Yes, but again, I just do not have that confidence at the moment, so that's kind of why I'm just opting for this option. It's for my safety, really. That is all what it's really all about, is just safety. If we lived in a more open, nicer world, I wouldn't really care too much. I'd be more confident. But unfortunately, we don't. People are judgy and rude and scared, but like using their fear as a weapon to harm others, because instead of just being comfortable with being uncomfortable, they want to just stab at it or something. They just want to be like, no, I don't like this thing. This makes me uncomfortable. I need to yell, I need to scream, I need to punch and commit violence instead of just accepting it for what it is. And I really hate that. It sucks. And because of that, I know what you're probably thinking, why don't you voice train? I don't want to, because I feel like if I voice trained, it would sound really fake. Even if I really tried hard, it just wouldn't sound right, and it wouldn't sound like me, and I don't love my voice particularly. I mean, there are some aspects I like, but like, I've accepted it. I've accepted that this is what I sound like, because there are times where I have wished that I sounded more feminine, but when I imagine how I look and then how I sound if I were more feminine sounding, it just didn't match up. It didn't seem right. So I was like, okay, I guess this is how I sound. Like, it wouldn't sound like me. It wouldn't sound right. It's like if I got plastic surgery, like, I would maybe be happier if I looked a little different, but at the same time, it'd be like, this isn't me anymore. This is somebody else. So it would just be weird. So yeah, I guess it's like a acceptance of this is just who I am. I mean, I don't entirely like it, but I don't entirely hate it either. If I were something else, I feel like I would hate it more. So I might as well just be this way because it is what it is. I feel like a lot of people really like to be toxically positive about certain aspects of yourself, and you really shouldn't have to be. Like, you should just accept certain aspects, and if you want to change it, then you can, but like, you shouldn't have to be like radically positive about everything either. You can just accept that it is what it is and just be like, yeah, this is me, whatever. Be neutral about it. That's why I like body neutrality. It kind of just eliminates the whole like radical positivity side, and it also takes away the negativity side, and it's just like, yeah, you were born this way and you sound this way, so you might as well be this way, and that's fine. No big deal. And I like that. It's more affirming, I guess. So to wrap things up, I'm just going to comment some other things that like have sort of gone through my mind over the years. Like, for example, there is certain things that like women would say that irked me, and I still get irked, to be honest, but like, they'd be like, oh, I sound like such a man when they have a cold, and like, I would get so annoyed because I'm like, you sound slightly huskier than normal. You don't sound like a man at all. That always pissed me off, and it kind of does now, because it's like, girl, what, really? Like, come on now. How do you think I feel if I get a cold? I sound way more masculine when I wake up in the morning. I sound like one of those dudes where they're like, when they wake up, they're like, good morning. Like, imagine how that feels. When I have a cold, I sound way different. So imagine that. Like, I think one of my videos, I recorded it like shortly after waking up, and I can tell because I sounded way deeper in that video. Like, if someone watched that video first and then saw the rest of my channel, they probably, I wouldn't entirely blame them for assuming I was a guy, because that sounded really deep. But other videos, I would say, some more feminine. But anyway, some things that have made me feel better were certain characters in fiction that had deep voices, or like voiced by men. Like, initially when I was younger, I used to hate those characters because I was like, this kind of offends me, but now I'm kind of like, you know, it's not entirely bad because the way that they sound actually fits them. Like, for example, Tina Belcher from Bob's Burger, she's voiced by a dude, but like, it fits her really well, and I actually like it, and nobody in the show, to my knowledge, like makes fun of her for it, and like, everyone kind of treats her as normal, and I'm like, you know what, I like that, that's nice. And that one character from that one series, I don't know, her name's like Dr. Girlfriend or whatever, like, she has a really deep voice, and like, a lot of people actually like that. Like, they like her character and they say like she sounds nice, and I'm like, you know what, that's great actually. I'm glad that people like think that way. And this is funny, but like, this one YouTube series, The Most Popular Girls in School, I love that series. It's so funny. I rewatch it like a couple of times per year because it's so fun to watch. But like, a lot of the characters are voiced by men, and they're like female characters, but like, nobody ever comments on it, and the way that they sound is fine. Like, it fits them in a way, like, it oddly works, and if they were voiced by women, it just wouldn't sound right, and I like that, you know? I feel like there should be more female characters that are voiced by men, but like, not for the sake of comedy, but just for the sake of just sounding different or unique. Because I think the characters that are voiced by men that are female that irked me are the ones where the female character is kind of meant to be mocked. I feel like I don't like that, because it's like implying that having a deeper voice is inherently a bad thing. When they're voiced with like sincerity and there's not like any mockery behind it, I like that. So I think that there should be more of that in media. And lastly, I remember growing up, I would like constantly search for YouTube videos and reassurance of like, do I sound like this? Do I sound like a man? And I'd always get like, yeah, you sound like a man, or like they would assume I'm trans, and that always hurt. But I do recall finding one video, and I don't even know if the video's up anymore, it's old, but I do recall finding one woman on the YouTube that did have a voice similar to mine, and it was really hard to like find it because it was underneath a bunch of joke videos where it was just woman with man voiceover. I think there was also another person on TikTok actually, and I think a friend had sent like her videos, and she also has a similar voice to me, and she would talk about her videos sometimes because some people would comment on her videos as well, like asking similar questions to what I would get, and I was just like, finally, someone who also sounds like me, because finding like deep voice woman was hard because a lot of the deep voice women that people think is not what I was like thinking. They think like seductive or something, you know, what I sound like. So that's kind of where, that's like what was so difficult as well, was finding women who sound like me, not like, you know, more of the dommy mommy type. Like that's not what I sound like. So yeah. And also there are a lot of positive comments I've gotten. People say I sound relaxing or have a pleasant voice to listen to, which is also really nice. I appreciate that. I don't think I sound annoying, but it is surprising to be told that I have a pleasant voice to listen to, because I just never was complimented on my voice. I was always told that my voice sounds deep or masculine in like a negative way. So to be told that it's relaxing is like nice. I mean, it's not feminine, but if people perceive it positively, that's something, and I'll take that over negativity. This was a very vulnerable video, but now that it's out there, and I hope that things are cleared up. And if you did ask those questions, I know that earlier I was a little bit irked, but like, don't apologize in the comments, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for assuming. Like, don't do that. Just take it for what it is and just move on, you know, like, I don't blame you for assuming. I don't want to be like mean and like I get mad sometimes when people assume, but it's like I can't blame them, because if they don't know what I look like, then obviously they're going to just make that assumption. Yeah, if you assume, I don't blame you. It hurts, but it is, I have to get over that, you know? So, with that said, I'll see you quacks later.
I just want to shit in peace. Leave me alone. I'm gonna destroy this doll.